And the hardest part about divorce isn't heartbreak. It's letting go of the woman I performed, the version of me that I maintained, because I was scared to admit the truth.
I learned I was a great husband. I can't.
Okay.
It feels like somebody turned on the lights in a room that I have lived in forever. And I'm finally seeing things clearly.
What would you do differently if the choice comes up again?
I would definitely take my time.
It's all in the choice.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And if you can't do a good deal with the wrong person.
That's right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Rivah TV. What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I'm back again with another video. So this whole Jeannie and Jeezy thing, I feel like we're like 2 years ago when the divorce happened, okay? Because right now it's like they're over the hump. They're both kind of expressing themselves. Jeezy was on an interview recently, and he is basically explaining the entire reason why they ended up getting divorced, while simultaneously Jeannie Mai is on her platform talking about the healing process. And in my personal opinion, it seems to me that she's kind of like admitting a lot of her own faults, and that she was also the assistance of the demise of the marriage. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the entire conversation. I'm going to go ahead and provide the clips, give you guys my thoughts, my feelings, and my opinion on this entire situation. So as I stated before, Jeezy sat down with Bishop T.D. Jakes on his new podcast, and Bishop Jakes actually asked Jeezy basically about the divorce and essentially why it happened.
You went through a real tough divorce.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back on it, and you may not have had time to process it because big stuff like that takes a long time to really process what was that all about. What did you learn from it?
Now, I love the way that this statement was presented, right? Like, I love the fact that it was brought into the conversation like, okay, we see that everybody's on the other side of this. As I mentioned before, you know, Jeezy did a recent interview on The Breakfast Club where he said that there was like, you know, peace between the two of them at that point.
Where are things with you and your ex now?
Peace.
That's good.
Yeah, peace, man.
So I love the way that it was brought to the forefront. Like, okay, so you're on this side of the situation. What did you learn from this, you know, marriage and the divorce? Like, what did you learn from all of it?
I learned I was a great husband. I can't.
Okay.
Now, this first statement took a lot of people for a loop. Like, there was a lot of women under the comment sections of this post on social media, basically like, oh, like, okay, you were divorced after 2 years and you're such a great husband. Like, how do you know that? And I think that's very telling in my personal opinion. You know, I believe that that is saying that, you know, I realize what I'm capable of in a long-term relationship. I realize what I'm capable of within a marriage. I realize that I have the capacity to love and to be a husband and to present in a way that maybe he never thought that he did before. And again, which would then veer off and lead me to believe that he realized that it wasn't him that was the issue in the marriage, that it was maybe her who was the issue in the marriage, which coincides to something that she recently posted on her social media, in which, you know, she talked about the you know, veil being lifted from over her eyes and her realizing the truth of the situation.
Because I was scared to admit the truth. The dream I kept dragging even after it stopped fitting. And then one day you realize you're not broken. You're just finally honest, and honesty is heavy.
I believe a part of that honesty is that she had some stuff to work on, and maybe she was not ready to be married. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I always have to go back to the clip in which she talked about the fact that, you know, there was this dragon, right? And that she had to learn how to train the dragon, because when she would present herself a certain way to Jeezy, he was like, you can't do that here. And, you know, she knew that if she did not get herself together, that would have been the end of their marriage.
I didn't notice that I had a hot temper until I got with Jeezy. He never told me to fix my temper. I just saw it and I thought, unless I want to stay in this place where I lose this person I love, now that I know it exists and the dragon's there, what if I got rid of that?
And sometimes coming to that recollection of the fact that, wait a minute, you're at fault for things falling through, or you had a huge part to play in things falling through. It is a very big weight to carry, you know, because remember, she's not the one who filed for divorce. Jeezy filed. And I think, like I said, in a previous conversation, for a man who had never been married to get married in a certain, age and stage in his life, he was not anticipating to be having no old, when you young, traumatic kind of drama kind of lifestyle relationship. And then when that presented, he decided to go ahead and move on from that. But in his interview, he touched on a lot of other different things and continued to basically give us or reveal everything that happened in the demise of his relationship with Jeannie.
But I learned a lot about myself. I learned that there's things that I continue to work on. I learned about, my preferences for things, the type of space that I need, the type of moments that I need to decompress about certain things.
Now, this is very important. Okay, what he says here is very important, because when the divorce, made its headlines, there was a lot of different accusations in place. There was, accusations of, I think her attitude, I think that was already put on paper. That was already out there, right? Because even in his interview with Nia Long, he kind of addressed that, he tried or whatever the situation is, and it didn't work out because the other party was unwilling.
But did you go to therapy with her?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Right.
So you actually addressed it,
Right.
tried to work through it, tried to do the work, and it just was like not happening.
No.
Well, then shit, you tried.
Now, beyond that, a big part of the conversation was that it was believed that her mom was a problem in the situation, that basically every time he came home, her mama was there. She got all these people in the house, the mom walking around, like, they did not have a certain amount of space where they can live fully within their marriage with him and her and their child within their home without her bringing other parties in, other opinions in, what have you. And interestingly enough, it's something that she herself talked about even when she was hosting the show The Real.
I remember the phone call. I wasn't home, but she flew in, and Jay was at home, and he said, babe, your mom just flew in. I got her at the airport. How long is she staying again? There are 5 luggages, 4 hat boxes, 3 wigs, and a whole gang of shoes that she just put in my closet. Like, my mom, like, all of a sudden walking by him while he's in his shorts, like.
So him speaking about the fact that, he learned that, he needed, he has certain preferences, he needs certain space, is basically showcasing, like, he knew that he was not willing to compromise on certain things and was unable to do so, especially when the other party was entertaining or indulging in certain things that he was not okay with.
46 doesn't feel old, and it doesn't feel young. It feels awake. It feels like somebody turned on the lights in a room that I have lived in forever, and I'm finally seeing things clearly.
What I think is interesting is that in all of the stuff that Jeannie is showcasing within this new, filming or vlogging of her life, kind of like in this poetic way, I noticed that in this whole diagram, it's only her and her baby, okay? It's only her and Monaco. You don't see the house full of people. You don't see a whole bunch of people around. It is very intentional that she is showcasing a new life, a new space with just her and their daughter. That's it. Again, which would showcase that maybe it's like, as the light bulb turns on or the lights come on, it's like, wait a minute. A lot of the stuff that he was complaining about, maybe he was actually right. Maybe we did need space. Maybe my mama did need to be around all the time. Maybe I did need to unpack things on my own. Maybe I did need, a certain air. And so maybe he wasn't necessarily wrong about the situation, but maybe I was kind of blinded by the way that I'm used to maneuvering around my life that I personally didn't see it. And that's a lesson that I think a lot of women need to take. A lot of times, when you're in a relationship that reflects yourself back to you, it gives you the opportunity to grow to the best version of yourself. And sometimes there is going to be growing pains, meaning sometimes it's not always going to feel good. But is it for your best bet? And if this is a person that you love and you trust and you respect, then you should be able to trust that they're going to lead you in the right direction that's best for you.
And this just unselfish nature, that I was selfish in my prior life. And I think just going forward in life, it just taught me how to give someone else grace and actually listen to understand rather than just to listen to reply.
Now, this is very important as well, because I think that it can easily get misconstrued. He was saying before he got into any kind of relationship with Jeannie, he was actually like a selfish person, right? He beat to his own drum. He did whatever he wanted to do. He didn't have the need to listen to anybody else or respond to anybody else or make anybody else seem comfortable or feel comfortable. You know, he could do what he wanted as his own man. And so he said that, you know, the reason why, again, he said that he realized he's a good husband is because in that situation, there was a lot of grace. So even though people saw that the relationship ended early, you know, obviously because it was only 2 years in, and the way that he went about it, he's like, y'all don't know the level of grace and listening that I did within that place to even last as long as we did.
It's when you're sharing a life with somebody. I never experienced anything like that, just coming from where I came from. So I never had to share.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I never had to compromise
Yeah.
away. So I just think it taught me a lot about what compromising was like, and then things that, you know, I just work on as a person. You know, it's a mirror.
Yeah.
One thing that I really appreciate is when there's two sides to a conversation, whenever the person who is willing to admit, you know, that they learned from certain things and that, you know, there was other things that they realized that they could evolve from or work on as a person, I respect that so much, because so often people come to the forefront of conversations as the victim, okay? And I hate to always bring this up, but this is just another very, you know, well-known divorce that happened around the same time, and that was Tia Mowry and Corey Hardrick. You know, she filed for divorce, and all the time on social media, we saw her basically crying victim.
The only person that I ever loved in my life was my ex.
Like, you know, I can't stand when people do that. Say what it is. Tell the truth. Tell that you weren't perfect. Like, let people know that relationships can fall through if maybe you did something wrong as well. And so the fact that he's saying, like, you know, I was compromising with her in a way that I'd never had to do before. I was doing all these things. And also, it let me know some other things that I can work on as a person because, as I said before, relationships are a mirror.
What would you do differently if the choice comes up again?
I would definitely take my time. I think when you become friends with someone and you're like really invested in the friendship, it just builds a different type of foundation. I would make sure that the community is as strong as the foundation.
Again, the conversation now going right back to community, which is, i.e., extended family, i.e., you know, the mom of them. Okay, making sure that there's a solid foundation between the core who is there to be there, support, help out, you know, be a good listening ear, all of the above. He would make sure that that is solid. And this is something that we've seen even recently in regards to, you know, Candy Burris and Todd Tucker's divorce, right? Everybody knew that her mom had a very big part to play in the demise of her relationship.
You dogged him out. You treated him mean. You made him feel uncomfortable in his own house. That's your house. It's our house.
So it's not like, you know, Jeannie's situation is nothing new. But what I tend to see is that a lot of times whenever the mom in these situations is bitter, not married, whether divorced or just broken apart or whatever it is, whenever that mom has not done the work on herself and her own toxicity, she is going to, whether knowingly or unknowingly, spew that onto her daughter to make sure that her daughter is replicating the same life that she has. Because it's not, I want you to do better than me and succeed in a way that I've never succeeded. It's, I want you to be in proximity to me in a way that's comfortable to me so that I still feel like I have a way that I can relate to you. And you being married and having a healthy relationship and going on your husband's accord and having to figure things out, you know, the mom feels like I can't relate to that. So I'd rather pull you into a space that makes it still feel like you're tangible to me.
If I ever did it differently, I think that even in the dating stages, like even like the date, like we could be friends, but even in the dating stages, I would want to do like some premarital like counseling.
Absolutely.
What I love is that he's not talking from a place of a man scorn. I love that. I love that he's not talking from a place of, oh, I would never do that again because, you know, these women out here crazy. Like, and he's been through so much. He's been through so much. But he's, you know, he's talking from a space of honesty and also giving advice for younger men out there. Like, hey, listen, you know, if you really see this person as being somebody that you could do life with, you need to have the hard conversations. You need to have somebody, you know, ask you certain things that maybe you're not even thinking about to make sure that the two of you are on the same page before making such a drastic commitment. And in this, you know, being somebody who is divorced, he's giving tools on how to, you know, possibly, hopefully avoid that for other people in the future. based off of his own experience.
What I never want to go through again, I don't want that from anybody, because I know a lot of brothers that's been going through the court cases, is seeing these people take your money and send their kids to college with your money because you're fighting.
Yeah.
Because it becomes adversarial.
Right.
Well, let's just decide what it's going to be. And if you're good with that, if I'm good with that, if it doesn't work, which we want it to work, but at least we got to understand and we can part ways and we can still be okay.
Now, this is something I really, really wanted to highlight. I really wanted to highlight this. And the reason why is because a lot of women will have the right and give it away. What I mean by that is, you know, he left her. Okay, she was already wrong, apparent to him. In his eyes, she was already wrong, hence why he filed for divorce, okay? She claims that she found out about the divorce on social media like the rest of us.
You know, I think at the time when I found out, you know, at the same time as the rest of the world, that my marriage was ending in divorce, I was gutted.
But I can guarantee that's not the first time she heard him use that verbiage to her, okay? But he filed for divorce. She was hurt, and within the vindictiveness, she went to the lawyer's office. And I have to bring this up, okay? Jeannie's allegations against Jeezy, only for her now to get over the mountain and come off on the other side and realize, like, wow, maybe this is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
The life that you pictured disappears, and the future you actually need starts talking to you.
Like, you know, the stuff that she was saying against him prior to that could have ruined Jeezy forever. Okay? It could have ruined his career. It could have ruined his finances that he have currently. He could have been in the slammer based off of the allegations that she had against Jeezy. Luckily enough, whoever was the presiding judge or his lawyer, whatever it is, they made sure to state the claims to the point where people realize, okay, this is being a little messy and vindictive. You're getting into your feelings because you didn't get what you wanted out of the relationship. But again, the things that she said, that she brought up, as he said, adversarial, she went there. Worse, when he wanted custody of the child to kind of cut her out the equation so he don't got to deal with her, she went as low as she could go. She, brought up the stuff that he have in his house and that she don't feel safe. And she used, certain footage that they had in home that, all kind of stuff.
And now the custody battle over Monaco is getting tumultuous as Jeezy responds to the domestic abuse claims Jeannie made in her recent court filing. In a statement to ET, he says the allegations are not only false, but also deeply disturbing, especially coming from someone I loved.
She said he hit her. It was a mess. A total mess. So I completely understand, the space that he's coming from, because he's like, listen, you have your feelings, I have mine, but you're going to the courthouse and you're telling these people some stuff, and they're like, yes, we're going to win big. They're not thinking about the implications it's going to have on your child or your co-parenting relationship in the future. They don't care about that.
To me, it's all in the choice.
Of the person.
Yes. It's all in the choice.
Yes, I agree with that.
And if you can't do a good deal with the wrong person.
That's right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I also love that Bishop Jakes said this, and the reason being is because, you can put it all out there, right? You can hope for the best, but if you are not truly aligned with this person, and as he said, if it is the wrong person for you and it's somebody that you should not be with, nothing that you do in any kind of capacity is going to ultimately work out. You're not going to be on the same page. You're not going to see things the same way because you're incompatible at a core level. And to be real, right? We know that not every situation is going to work out. That's just the truth, right? It's just life. It just is what it is. Not everybody that goes into marriage goes into it with an unconditional mindset. Some people go into marriage with a conditional mindset, right? Whereas if you don't make me feel this way, I'm not going to stay with you. Or people go into marriage and they are met with a representative of who a person is, just like how Jeannie Mai said that she was, she had to be honest about the performative version of herself.
And the hardest part about divorce isn't heartbreak. It's letting go of the woman I performed, the version of me that I maintained, because I was scared to admit the truth.
And then when that person marries you and then they meet the real you, well, now they got married to a lie. And so now the only thing they can do is undo the doing of being married to the improper person, because who they signed up for is not who they ended up getting. And so we know all these things to be true. Now, apparently, it's looking like Jeezy did Jeannie Mai a favor. Okay, that's what it's seeming like. It's seeming like a lot of the things that she had to confront within herself, a lot of the thoughts that she had, you know, she said that she didn't want a child and she got in this marriage and ended up having one. Like, I just feel like a lot of the things that she had to confront within herself got confronted, just maybe not in the way that she wanted them to. But it was essential for her growth. Now, I think that if she didn't go to the levels of vindictive that she did, maybe there would have been some kind of space that the two of them could have come to one accord. You know, at some point, if things didn't get tarnished too bad at a certain level. But, you know, the immediate actions that a lot of women take ends up leaving them out there to dry.
Life didn't just change for me. It cracked me open and showed me everything that I've been trying to mask. I went through things that I wouldn't wish on anybody.
It's like you thought, you know, I use the thing all the time, good, better, best. You thought that this man was just good and he was your best. And now you're just out there sitting in it like, man, I should have worked on this, or I should have thought about these things, or I should have done, you know, my own self-development. And what's so crazy to me is that, like, the more that Jeannie is going through her process and posting this stuff on social media, she's making it seem like this is her first divorce. And it's not. Like, she's been divorced before. But this was obviously so meaningful to her that her marriage that had lasted, I think, over 10 years, you know, she was able to just move on from that. But this one is what made her self-reflect. And she said it before that, you know, he could only bring this stuff out of her because of how much, you know, respect that she had for him at the time.
I didn't notice that I had a hot temper until I got with Jeezy. And here's a person who is my equal and I really respect.
So again, you know, I use these celebrity situations to talk to everybody in regards to it and have deeper conversations about marriages in hopes that women can see a different perspective. Okay, I give you guys my thoughts and my opinion so that women can see a different perspective, because a lot of these women leave relationships and act like the grass is so green and that they out there partying and living their life in a certain way, when in actuality, there's misery on the other side as well. There is truth that, like, wait a minute, maybe it was me on the other side as well. And can you sit in that? A lot of the women who work through this stuff, they could do that within the marriage. Choose not to leave the situation. You know, she didn't leave by choice. But I'm just talking about, you know, in general, like, you know, for the likes of Tia. They choose not to work on it within the marriage, leave the marriage, work on themselves, and then have an epiphany like, oh, wait, maybe it wasn't the marriage that was the problem. Maybe it was just inner work that I had to do within myself.
I don't want to be alone, you know, so when I'm going through these challenges, sometimes you want to go back.
I'd like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this entire situation. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.
Rivah TV.